we got there? Hello, everybody. Just a quick stream, really. Yeah, famous last words, Phil. This report come out today. This report come out today. There was an embargo on it until today. Billy had informed me about it the other day. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a good zoom on this because there's going to be a lot of reading in this. What's going on with this bleeding camera? That's it. How you doing, peeps? We're on. Be happy. Welcome on. Thank you for jumping on. Love you all. A big shout out, a big thank you goes out to all the subbers. Obviously to Billy Howarth, who's always on it. Always on it. Told me about this report. Sent me the notice that he had in regards to the embargo about it. He also informed me of the meeting that was going on today of its release. Yes, Breeze Mark. Yes, Zach Realist. How you doing? Yes, Sarah R. So that's where we are, really. Let me just adjust this a little bit. I've just got a phone call off Billy saying, right, the report come out. I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what, Billy, I've deleted a stream that I done last night because I didn't cover it properly. I'm going to spend all night video editing and all that kind of stuff to try and get it back, to try and get it re-uploaded again as quickly as I can. Is there any chance I can read this later, Billy? Billy says to me, mate, you might want to drop all that shizzle when you see this report. So I'm like, okay then, Billy. Okay. Come downstairs, folded the washing, put my laptop on, opened it up, and within half an hour, I've got a stream going. So what is going on there? Hello, guys. Happy New Year, Sarah. Afternoon, Kimmy. Yes, TJ. Good to see you. How are you doing? Thank you for jumping on. Now, if anyone doesn't know, the GMCA is Greater Manchester Combined Authority. Now, apparently, Andy Burnham, Mayor of Greater Manchester, held what he wanted to do, his intention was to have an independent inquiry, you could argue, into the scale and the scope of the abuse, if it was covered adequately, you could imagine. And it was all emanating around a operation called Operation Augusta, okay? So without waffling on, this is going to be a lot of reading, so I'm going to try and read through it, okay? So anyone watching this retrospectively, if you could, please just inform people about this report. I've seen Manchester Evening News are covering it and whatnot. And so they should, because it shows failings from pretty much every direction in terms of sexual historic abuse, in terms of grooming that is going on, and obviously what is going on today, because if they've been failing in the past, in the 60s, 70s, if they were failing from free birds and whatnot, it's ultimately them failings are still happening today, and this report has highlighted that in a little way. So that's the beginning, that's the basics, the overview, as it were. Okay, so I'm just going to start reading, guys. Same again, thanks a lot. Share this link because this is relevant, whether you are intrigued, whether you're shocked, whether you're dismayed over the recent and relevant grooming issue, or the sexual exploitation that has happened in the past. Yeah, it's all one and the same as far as I'm concerned, but people do have preferences, you know, so this is applicable to both. Okay, here we go. Here we go for some dodgy reading, guys. Right. Did you hear anything more about the text? Well, that's what I'm in the process of actually working on tonight, TJ. What I do know, before I start, what I do know is the ladies reported it to the school. The school have no idea who this individual is. It's certainly not anyone representing the school, so it makes it further suspicious. And what we do know is that the lady reported it to the police, but just after the stream last night, I got a text off Billy to say that the woman had got in contact with Billy to say that she'd reported it to the police, but she'd not had any home visit at any point up to that point that she let him know. Now, whether that means that the police have now come in that gap, I've no idea. But at this moment in time, all I can say is that the police have not yet questioned this lady as to these taxes. So that's what I'm going to be working on tonight, to try and get a proper chronological order of that bloody stream last night. Because in many ways, I wasn't happy with the way I put it out. But anyway, that's me waffling again. I know, mate, I know. Right, I'm off. Here we go. Publication of the Child Sexual Exploitation Assurance Review, Part 1, exposes how vulnerable children were let down by those who should have protected them. Mayor praises whistleblowers who stood by victims and their families. Work continues on remaining work streams of the review, including the assurance exercise into non-recent child sexual exploitation in Rochdale. So it's covering different areas in it, right? Victims of sexual exploitation in Greater Manchester are having their cases newly investigated as a result of a review commissioned by the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, following an airing of the BBC documentary The Betrayed Girls about child sexual exploitation in Greater Manchester on the 3rd of July 2017. The Mayor announced he wanted to assure himself and the public that everything possible has been done to protect children today and in the future, and to prevent it from happening again. Well, that's a little bit of nice glossy spin, but in reality, I think when you do scratch the surface and enter this bleeding rabbit hole, you know that that's not the case. And if that was the case, you wouldn't be having this bloody report of the Greater Manchester Combined Authorities. So don't give me that, Mr. Burnham, but don't get me going. The findings of the first independent review have been published today, Tuesday the 14th of January 2020, an insurance's review of Operation Augusta. The report, written by Child Protection Specialist Malcolm Newsom, CBE, and former senior police officer Gary Ridgway, considers the Operation Augusta investigation, which was launched by Greater Manchester Police following the death of 15-year-old Victoria Agogalia, probably butchered that, after years of abuse and days after she was injected with heroin by a 50-year-old man, died in hospital of an overdose in 2003. Now, Billy has just told me on the phone that he knew this lady. He knew her. And he said she was absolutely fine. And there's questions as to how she died as well, which is, I guess, leading to this report, there's going to be a new investigation into her case and other cases as well. But I will read on for now, okay? Whilst the report states there is much to be condemned in Operation Augusta, it found that it had not addressed the issue it was set up for, to tackle the sexual exploitation of a number of children in the care system. Very few of the relevant perpetrators were brought to justice, neither were their activities disrupted. So there you go. I mean, that tells you something there. So basically says, for everything that they've all done, they've affected nothing. They've not stopped this gravy train happening, which has meant they've not stopped the flow of what we consider survivors and all the mental issues, all the issues that run and revolve around the family that go with it. Not only from No View, Cyril Smith days, as to in early 2000s with the Three Little Girls, but now to present day. That's what they're saying here. So he can say what he wants at the top, but that's where we're at, and we know that. So off the back of this review, a new investigation under Operation Green Jacket has been opened by GMP, which encompasses both Victoria's case and those involved in Operation Augusta. Whilst Victoria's death was investigated at the time, allegations of long-standing sexual abuse that preceded her death have never been investigated and perpetrators not pursued. In terms of further reviews, work continues on remaining work streams of the review, including the assurance exercise into non-recent child sexual exploitation in Rochdale. Yeah, so that is saying no view. Work continues on remaining work streams of the review, including the assurance exercise into non-recent child sexual exploitation in Rochdale, Knoll View, Cambridge House, and all the other abuse that happened floating around that area at that time. And let's face it, if these are dodgy cases now, what does that say that was going on in the rest of the country with all the other investigations that's been going on, all the other operations that's been going on? If there's failings in these, surely the implementations that were used in these were used in other operations all around the country. Is that a conspiracy theory to say that? Or is that just common sense? But I'll keep reading. All right. Support for the delivery of a separate assurance review into child sexual exploitation in Oldham, which has been commissioned by Oldham Council and the Borough's Safeguarding Partnership. Now, I've done a video on this not so long back, but even before I even knew about it, Billy was telling me this. He says, we're going to have another Rochdale inquiry in Oldham as to what is going on in Oldham. And then just shortly after, we had a load of, I don't know what the hell that was. That's not thunder. Shizzle on my nizzle. We had a hell of a lot of disobedient activity at a hearing in Oldham, if anyone remembers that video, that they wanted it screaming from the rooftops about the grooming issue that was taking place and how it wasn't being really talked about. And they were really heckled down. They even sat in the courtroom and the police removed them, and they were seen as being the problem. And when their question was addressed, it was addressed almost as if to say that people are embellishing racism, far-right politics by engaging in this topic. It's so disingenuous. And then this report comes out. You cannot write it. This report slaps all them people in the face that have been saying, what you're talking about, you're a little bit racist here. What you're talking about, Cyril Smith didn't do it. What you're talking about, the establishment are not holding anything back. What you're talking about, there's no corruption, there's no cover-ups, there's no failings. Yeah, I'd say a big to all of them, wouldn't you? But anyway, Operation Augusta was set up in 2004 and uncovered the systematic exploitation of looked after children, mainly in the care system in the city of Manchester. The review team undertook detailed analysis of a sample of 25 children known to Operation Augusta, right? So they had a sample of 25 what you could regard as cases within the operation that was known as Operation Augusta, and concluded that there was significant possibility that 16 children were being sexually exploited. So why did that operation shut down? Yeah? And concluded that there was a significant possibility that 16 children were being sexually exploited. The age of the children who were being exploited ranged from 13 to 16. So is that not willful when you're neglecting to follow that through? No matter what excuse, because I do believe the excuse that they're about to spew out here is over resources. Now, Billy was telling me on the phone before, I can't verify this, but people can. Apparently, this operation cost up to 17 million freaking pounds. So how is resources the problem here? Shizzle. Right, 13 to 16-year-old with children as young as 14 reported to have boyfriends in their mid-20s who were abusing them, yeah? Now remember, lifestyle choices, all this kind of stuff that these authorities were coming out and saying that, you know, if a 13-year-old seeing someone is being exploited by someone, well, it's their choice, isn't it, you know? They also found that there was continued over-reliance by investigators in Operation Augusta on the cooperation of child victims, despite the obvious coercion and control exhibited by their perpetrators. Yeah, so they're saying that they were being groomed. So don't just don't do nothing because they're being groomed. You've got to look beyond the fact that they could be being groomed. So you've got to try and talk them down from that instead of just give them a couple of condoms and give them advice about sexual freaking transmitted diseases or whatever it is that they've done. It's obviously inadequate. Right. Right, and that multi-agency strategy meetings focused on agencies encouraging the children to protect themselves rather than provide means of protection for them. See what I mean? So they should have read between the lines here that this ain't a lifestyle choice, and even if it is, you've got to look at the fact that what is going on in the background. You've got someone older who is manipulating and exploiting the arse off these children. But don't just give them a condom and say you can come to me if you need a morning after pill. This is grooming that is transpiring here. And this is grooming that is sweeping the nation. And it's done by all demographics. But the report will talk again. Let's keep going. There should never be an expectation that vulnerable children stroke young people can provide protection for themselves. Exactly. And that's what's happened. There's been a lot of people here, whether it's because of the class, whether it's because of lifestyle choices, whether it's because of where they live, what they are a part of, whether it's because the education that they've got, they've been overlooked. And that's what that is exactly saying. Let me carry on. Officers conducting the initial phase of the investigation reported that there were potentially 97 persons of interest who had been identified as being involved in some way in the sexual exploitation of children as a perpetrator. Billy, need charity number to be able to... Oh, right, he's talking on the chat. Right, 97 persons of interest who have been identified as being involved in some way in the sexual exploitation of children as a perpetrator, facilitator, or an associate, or either. Yeah, so look at that. Officers conducting the initial phase of the investigation reported that there were potentially 97 persons of interest who have been identified as being involved in some way in the sexual exploitation of children as a perpetrator, a facilitator, or an associate of either. So either knowingly or doing it themselves. So where are these people? Why weren't these dragged back? The scoping report of Operation Augusta described these persons as predominantly Asian men working in the restaurant industry. Now, are you a racist for saying that? Is the PC culture enabled that them 97 people to stay under the radar? I'm not about to go all far right here. I'm about to read a report that is clearly stated the failings within councils in the Greater Manchester area that has led to a lot of suffering and a lot of survivors. That is still leading to a growing epidemic, you could say, or at least approaching epidemic proportions because of the failings, because of the PC world, because the fact that people cannot even breathe about this subject without being condemned. I had one poor subber ask me a question the other day on one of my videos, and I just seen it just coincidentally. How can I be proud of being nationalist? How can I have nothing to do with what is perceived as racist attitudes growing out of ignorance and non-tolerance and out of frustration? How can I slightly agree with being proud of who I am, where I come from, and the fact of the basic talking point, but still have nothing to do with ignorance, with hatred, and all the other issues that revolve around it? The fact that that person had to ask me that question, I thought that is PC for you. That is someone that is trapped in the middle, that wants to talk, but knows that they can't talk, knows that they're going to lose the job, even if they are decent, honourable people because they agree or at least they see a point of view, they are condemned. And then not only are they condemned, they are then affiliated with the most abhorrent, ignorant individuals that take that basic argument that this decent, honourable gentleman wants to agree with, and they run with it and take it to a further extreme, which then this individual that's okay is now a party to. And that's what he was explaining. How the hell do I get out of that trap? And it's a sorry state of affairs. It is sorry. So this is what I'm saying, right? Officers conducted an initial phase. So hold on, let me have a little drink here. This is a bad report. This is explaining everything that we've been shouting about. And this is only Greater Manchester. This is so bad. Okay. Officers conducting initial phase of the investigation reported that there were potentially... Can't do it. Whoever that is. Can't. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. I do apologise there, guys. Are you back? Are you back in the room? Because I want to make sure everyone's back before I start. Is everybody back? How we doing, guys? Are we there? Are we there? Am I online? Is that a thumbs up? Memorial? National Memorial Gardens? We're back. Yes, you've not missed anything. Billy was trying to ring me via online, and I can't accept any calls, otherwise it'd cut the stream off. So as soon as I decline the call, we're back. So we're back. Thank you guys for jumping on. Yes, yes, yes. Acid fire. Right, okay, where was we? Let me start with the top of this paragraph again. Officers conducting the initial phase of the investigation reported that there were potentially 97 persons of interest who had been identified as being involved in some way in the sexual exploitation of children as a perpetrator, facilitator, or an associate of either. The scoping report of the Operation Augusta described these persons as predominantly Asian men working in the restaurant industry. The review team independently identified 68 individuals known to the Operation Augusta who it could be reasonably assumed had been a part of this group. Same again, this is basically saying, why the fuck didn't you look into this? Because we've clocked it. So why did this operation that's cost money not see it? Okay. No, operation, right, okay, part of this group. But instead of them being prosecuted and the victims protected, senior officers prematurely closed Operation Augusta down in 2005 before it could complete its work, right? So imagine that when they can see that there's leads of interest here, there's people here that are guilty here, but you shut it down, okay, before they've actually put bookends on the leads and whatnot. The reviews team's judgment is that this was driven by a decision to remove resources from the investigation rather than a sound understanding that all lines of inquiry had been successfully completed or exhausted. That is so bad. Why do that? Why close it down when you have got people of interest within there? You can actually get cases concluded, maybe prosecutions, sentences. You can stop the abuse that has happened. You can convict people of abuse in historic times. Plus, you could help to alleviate the abuse that is happening right now, but yet you close the case down. So I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to keep going. Let's see where we were. Right. The review team coincided. No, bloody bit of crap on there. The review team concluded that they could offer no assurance that appropriate action was taken by Greater Manchester Police or the responsible local authority to address the risk in relation to 16 children in the sample, including Victoria herself. 15 of these children were the responsibility of Manchester City Council. In respect of the remaining 9 children in the sample, the review team conclude that there was insufficient available information for them to form a view as to whether the children had experienced sexual exploitation or whether these concerns were appropriately addressed. So I don't know whether they're kind of putting a slap on the authority in Manchester there. Well, they are in terms of there's numbers there that they need to question, but there wasn't enough documentative evidence. Now, whether that... Basically, it sounds like they're giving Manchester a slap as well as they're giving Oldham a slap as well as they're giving Rochdale a slap. No one's getting away with it here. This suggestion that there had been a repeated failure to protect children in Greater Manchester led me to set up this review. I am grateful to Malcolm and Gary for the patient and painstaking way in which they have shone a light on this dark chapter, and to Greater Manchester Police and Manchester City Council for their cooperation with this review process. The report makes extremely difficult reading. That's going to be on his freaking gravestone, yeah? But it is only by fully facing up to the past failures, however painful that is, yeah? You took your time. There's been a lot of failings and a lot of suffering and a lot of misery, that we will be able to correct them as best we can and better protect children today. Victoria's death, I mean, there's been a lot of victims here, so it's nice that they've got one person to propagate in order to get change. That's nice, but it shouldn't then be just about that one person. I can name you half a dozen survivors I know of right now that it's just as relevant for all this. So but I guess they might have to put a little bit of a branding on it, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's as more of a social question than anything else. Victoria's death should have been a wake-up call on child sexual abuse, exploitation of the whole Greater Manchester. You know what? Cyril Smith, the abuse that's gone on there should have been a wake-up call, you know? So what has he done there? He's saying that he wants to report, he wants to look into the historic cases, but yet he's kind of not even mentioned them there. Now, I'm not saying he's done that on purpose and disregarding him here, but like I say, what he seems to be doing is celebrating one case when what you should be celebrating is the fact that survivors per se are going to be listened to. And it's a pity that someone had to die on heroin, supposedly ejected by a 50-year-old in order for the fucking authorities to see this. That's what's really going on here. And pardon my French. Right, where are we going? But it wasn't her death exposed the network of paedophiles brazenly abusing young people, girls and boys in care. Each and every one of those abusers should have been brought to justice, but appallingly, most escaped and some were left to reoffend. You've got that one right, mate. Freaking hell, I can see why you're in your job. You're a smart cookie. This report reveals the same problematic institution mindset in the public authorities that we have seen elsewhere. Young, vulnerable girls not seen as true victims by those whose job it was to protect them, but instead see them as a problem. The system was guilty of appalling failings, and I am sorry to say to all the victims that they were let down in this way. So at least that's one thing, but I can also say to them that I am determined to ensure others will not suffer in the way that they have. Well, I don't know whether you can say that because it's going on as you are writing this, as you are reading this. So I don't know whether you can fully say that. My goal in publishing this report is to banish for good from the Greater Manchester and the old mindset that failed them so badly. We will have zero tolerance approach to child sexual exploitation of any kind, and authorities will hunt it down and root it out wherever it is found. Right, we'll stop condemning people that are trying to do the same thing as vigilantes as well. I'm not into people getting beat down. I'm not into online abuse. I'm not into all that. But when you've got people that are literally collating evidence and trying to look after survivors, work with them, try and get intel from them, try and help them, try and promote them, because you know what? If you're really honest in your intentions, people will work with you. And you know what? The survivors might have a better fucking world to live in, and the world may turn into a slightly better place when we all start working together. Do you not think? Instead of just castigating people and then you try to come out like you're some kind of glory seeker when you don't seem to have done fuck all for grooming or really terrorism to that, let's face it, since the bombing in Manchester. And the very bombing in Manchester, Mr. fucking Birmingham, yeah, is the reason why I got involved in this shizzle. And this is the very reason why I have sleepless nights. And the very reason why I've got concerned subbers on here now that literally, if they got their hands on you and the fucking groomers, you'd both be blasted into oblivion. So sorry for that little rant, but I'm sick of people talking crap when I don't see much action. I see all the words, but I don't see much action. Breathe. Drink a bit of OJ. Digest the OJ. Regulate your breathing pattern. Have another drink. Put your glass down. Compose yourself, Phil. Compose yourself. Yes, Truth Seeker. Stop apologising. Yes, TJ. I know, well, you know, it's just my own personal conduct. I don't like doing it, you know what I'm saying? I always try and better myself, but I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. Let me carry on anyway. Where am I? The fact that a new criminal investigation has been opened by GMP shows that it was right to commission this review, and I will ensure that they will have all the resources they will need to give the victims the justice they need. So long waited to see. Yeah, so really, let's hope that's the case. Let's hope you don't pile money into it. Let's hope you don't then try and get all these glossy headlines that you look like you're doing something and then really nothing transpires from it, or you're not really adhering to all the victims and you're not really listening to key vocal people that know more about this shizzle than you, Mr. Burnham. You know what I mean? Let's hope that that is not the case. I can only wish, because this is a milestone. You've got to give it to him. You know, he's took it on the chin. He's done this report. He could have buried it. He could have fucking glossed it over in many ways. But I guess you can't stop certain things, maybe. But fair play to him. It's out there, and he's taken it on the chin for it. So, right. Finally, I wish to praise the work of the whistleblowers, without whose courage and determination the truth would never have been told. I ditto that. What if the whistleblowers come against him? Would he endorse them also? This is the kind of double-speak world that they live in. But, you know, let's hope he is a straight-up guy and he means what he says. Deputy Mayor for Policing and Crime and Chair of the Child Exploitation Steering Group, Bev Hughes, added, there can be no justifiable reason for the abandonment of Operation Augusta. Here. A mere investigation of systematic sexual abuse of children in the care of local authorities. This report lays bare the most profound abuse to which these young people were subjected, when they and their families have every reason to expect that there would be safeguarded. When Operation Augusta was abruptly curtailed, children were left unprotected and perpetrators free to continue their appalling activities. I want to thank those who have been campaigned tirelessly to expose this issue, and the review team for their commitment and dedication in undertaking this difficult work. This report has at long last given a voice to these young people who until now have not been heard. Here. I clap my hands to that. Just move it up a little bit. Cooperation by Greater Manchester Police and Manchester City Council was essential in enabling the review to be completed, and also for victims and case others linked to hers to now. Fucking hell, I'm fucking this up all of a sudden. Linked to hers to now to subject to a new criminal investigation. That is absolutely right, and I hope it will eventually bring some justice for these young people and their families. We will never shy away from investigating allegations of this kind. Ultimately, it is our responsibility to learn from these mistakes of the past, uncover child sexual exploitation, encourage people to report it, prosecute it, and do all we can to prevent it. Isn't that what PAG's trying to do? Look where they are for doing it. Although since that time there have been improvements in the investigation of child sexual abuse, not least in Greater Manchester, this report also demonstrates that we can and must never be complacent. You're right there. We must never remain. We must remain vigilant to the continuity involving threats to our children face. Challenge our own practice and ensure as far as we are possibly can that we have the best systems in place to protect our children and bring perpetrators to justice. Right, Robert, the co-author, Malcolm Newsom said, so this is the man that done the report, so this man's kind of opinion is valid. Operation Augusta was set up to address the sexual exploitation throughout a wide area of significant number of children in the care system. Our assurance of review has established that a few relevant perpetrators were brought to justice and neither were their activities disrupted. Most of the children we have considered were failed by the police and the children's services. The authorities knew that many were being subjected to the most profound abuse and exploitation, but did not protect them from their perpetrators. This is bad, this, as you know. Now, as adults, they should be given the opportunity to ask that the crimes committed against them be fully investigated. We would also apply the same expectation to the family of Victoria, who have been asking for abuse to be investigated since her tragic death in 2003. Same again, let's not talk about celebrity cases. They're all one and the same. Everyone who's got an issue of being groomed, of being, these cases that fall under here have got the right. I don't want to cherry pick, really don't, although this lady deserves justice for losing her life. Her family deserves justice just like anyone else. Furthermore, the Mayor, as Police and Crime Commissioner, must consider the Greater Manchester Police and Manchester City Council, how the people have appeared to present a risk to children in 2004 can now be brought to justice, and any risk they still present to children mitigated. Bloody right. Since Operation Augusta, there have been significant change in how child sexual exploitation is viewed. It is recognised as a serious form of child abuse. You're right there. Statutory agencies now work better together through the multi-agency integrated teams and services to proactively prevent children from being exploited in the first place, finding and prosecuting the perpetrators when it happens, and putting victims first by listening to them and believing them and providing them with the support they need. A Greater Manchester Safeguarding Standards Board has also been created with representatives from each of the 10 local safeguarding partnerships, chaired by an independent expert to provide independent scrutiny to see how well Greater Manchester is responding to this complex and difficult issue. It is now subject to peer review, and the outcomes are being checked again by national experts external to the Greater Manchester. Good. Independence, that's what we want. Independent review. If you have any information relating to these issues and you'd like to contact someone about it, or if you have been affected by these issues, please contact, now this is important guys, because if any of you find this relevant, the helpline 0808 168 9024. That is 0808 168 9024. This service is provided by Victim Support. Obviously, you've got PAG as well. If you want any advice, if you need any help and assurance along the way. Support and advice for children, young people, parents and carers and professionals about all aspects of child sexual exploitation is available from itsnotok.co.uk, as well as information about how to report it. Specialist support has been offered to victims whose stories are told in this report. That's the most reading I've done out loud in my frigging life. Wow. Right. So I'm not going to stay on too long because I just literally wanted to inform people that might not have had access to that report and just to kind of give you the heads up. Thank you, Kat. My bloody God. Yes, Indica. The police follow orders from the governments. It's the previous Labour governments. Yeah, well, you know what, Leopard Spot? This is not just politics. This is it. This is literally clearly indicating that there's even the police, and then who the police are getting orders from. This goes, how far do you want to go up? The failings. Who was the person who decided to shut Operation Augusta down? But that you can't even stop there, because who was the person that really didn't make much of a beeline to make sure Cyril Smith got what he got? Who's the person that then didn't do a good job on what was going on in Rotherham and Telford, for that to really come out in headlines years later? So, it's that extensive. And that is the problem. I mean, that's the one thing that at least Andy Kiss My Ass Burnham has had the balls to admit that this is a big problem. And, I might lose a bit of kudos here, but at least I'm kind of showing the problem and I'm letting someone else explain it on an independent level. There's no major details in here, but you don't need it. That's an overview. That's an overview that is sufficient to kind of at least say, you know what, everyone, there's people in this movement that have been screaming this for years. There's people who have been, to a degree, pretty much go to prison, getting banned, getting all kinds of shizzle for years, and they've now got the right to go, see, I had a point, Yes, camel piss flavour, big yourself up too. And every time I read your avatar, mate, your name, it does make me giggle. It really does. Andy was sweating like a pig. I can imagine. He wouldn't have wanted that. Imagine when he was giving that report, he's probably thinking, how the freaking hell am I going to get round this now? Please let us know about the text message when you hear anything. TJ, that is going to be my next upload. To be totally fair, I'm going to re-edit that stream. I'm going to cut a few minutes off it because it doesn't need to be that long. I'm going to get it in chronological order, and I've got an audio from Billy in relation to that incident. I'm going to get the up-to-the-minute report on where it's at with the lady and what she's reported to the police and what the police have said, if the police have still come to see her. So by the time that video is uploaded, it's going to be all in that video, because I wasn't happy with the way I threw it out, and I kind of pissed it up at the end because I got certain chronological bits out of order, and it really does my head in when I do things like that. So that's why I deleted it straight away. So, it is coming. It is coming. Yeah, I can understand that, TJ, because it is chilling, and because the police have not up to what I know of, have still not yet spoke to the lady. They may have by now, but up to last night, they've not spoke to her. Imagine she's still probably sweating one, because if these people have got a phone number, have they got an address? I don't know, but you know, is she got to just expect more random abuse or, you know, whatever coming through her phone? So it is chilling. And there's a bigger message. It could be just a kid prankster. It could be nothing to do with grooming. It could be nothing to do with paedophilia. But there's an element in which that they've used that as a tool against this lady anyway. So there's an element of sickness and on all different directions. So that's what I'm going to try and do in this next video. I'm going to try and portray it even and fair, rather than just grab the pitchfork and blah, 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 but try and do it open as well. So guys, I've loved this stream. I'm going to have to get going. This was just to get this report out, so please share this. The GMCA, the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, a report that was released today that was officially on embargo until today, that was done by Andy Burnham, the Greater Manchester Mayor, and it's not good reading. Not good reading. Thank you very much, Candy. Thank you very much to everyone else. Hope you've enjoyed this stream. Please like and share. And I love you all, guys, even the pissing haters. God bless, and we shall speak soon. Thanks a lot, Britannia. See you later, mate. Ta-da. Bye.